My phone buzzed in the pocket of my black apron the exact second I burst out of the subway at 58th Street. The rain had turned Manhattan into one big gray smear, and my sneakers squelched with every step. I was 20 minutes late, 20 goddamn minutes to my shift at Aurelia, the most expensive Italian restaurant on the Upper East Side, where they'd fire you without a second thought if you weren't there in the next 3. "Allo," I panted, pressing the phone to my ear with a wet shoulder while trying not to crash into a wall of tourists with umbrellas. "Amelia?" The hospice nurse's voice in Boston was too quiet, too careful. "Your Nonna took a turn. The doctor says it might be a matter of days." The world stopped, right there on the corner of Lexington Avenue in the pouring rain, surrounded by hundreds of strangers. I'm coming. Tomorrow. Day after at the latest," I choked out, squeezing the phone so hard my fingers hurt. "Tell her I love her. Per favore, dille che la amo. Dille che arriverò presto." I slipped into Italian without noticing. It always happened when I talked about Nonna Rosa, the woman who raised me after my parents died on a slick road when I was 7. "I will, sweetheart," the nurse said softly, and the line went dead. I stood in the rain another 30 seconds, trying to remember how to breathe. A ticket to Boston was $160. I had 47 in my account, and 300 hidden in a sock under my mattress in my tiny Bronx studio, the money I'd been saving for 3 months. Not enough. Nowhere near enough. I ran. Aurelia glowed golden even on this miserable night. Heavy velvet curtains, marble entrance, doorman in livery. I flew in through the service door, nearly taking out the sous chef and his tray of truffle pasta. "Amelia, where the hell have you been?" Marco, the senior manager, grabbed my shoulder so hard I almost went down. His usually calm face was red with panic. "Table 8 in 2 minutes. Anna's sick. Jessica no-showed, and I can't send just anyone." "Who?" I yanked off my soaked jacket, throwing on my apron. My fingers shook. Marco looked at me like I'd asked who the president was. "Lucas Raven," he breathed. "The owner. He's here. First time in 2 years." My heart skipped. Everyone in the restaurant knew the legend of Lucas Raven, the man who owned 18 restaurants worldwide but never showed his face. No photos, no interviews, just rumors. He was ruthless, filthy rich, and like total control. I'm not ready to serve him." "You don't have a choice." Marco practically shoved me down the hall toward the private rooms. "Table 8. Be flawless. Don't look him in the eye too long. Don't ask questions. Just do your job." He spun away and vanished, leaving me in front of a massive dark wood door with a gold privé plaque. I wiped my palms on my apron, fixed the messy bun, took a deep breath, pushed the door open. The room was bathed in soft light from antique sconces. A table for 4, but only one man sat there. Back to the window, his silhouette sharp against the night city. Dark suit, perfect fit. Hands folded, long fingers, no rings. I stepped inside. The door closed silently behind me. He looked up, and I saw Lucas Raven for the first time. My breath caught somewhere between my ribs. He wasn't just beautiful, he was dangerous. Features sharp and perfect, like they'd been carved from marble in Rome. Dark hair swept back, cheekbones that could cut glass. But his eyes, storm gray, almost steel, and they looked at me like they saw everything, every secret, every lie I'd ever told myself. "Buonasera," he said. And God, his voice was velvet and whiskey, warm, low, with a faint accent I couldn't place. I froze, opened my mouth, closed it. "Good evening," I finally managed. "I'm Amelia. I know your name," he cut in softly. The corner of his mouth twitched, almost a smile, but not quite. "Amelia Lorenzi, 25, 8 months here, Hunter College, Italian literature major. Lives alone in the Bronx." The blood drained from my face. "I make it a habit to know everything about the people who work in my places," he said calmly. But I knew it was a lie. He didn't know everyone, just me. I stood rooted while he slowly rose. Tall. Very tall. 6'3", maybe 6'4", broad shoulders under that perfect suit. He stepped closer, and I smelled his cologne. Something expensive, cedar and something dark, almost wild. "You were just speaking Italian," he said quietly. "On the phone, before you came in here." I blinked. "How?" "You were talking to someone at a hospice in Boston." He stopped 2 steps away, gray eyes boring into my soul. "About your grandmother, Nonna Rosa." "How do you—" "Dile che la amo," he repeated in perfect Tuscan, quoting me word for word. "Arriverà presto." My knees buckled. I grabbed the edge of a chair. "You were spying on me?" "No." He shook his head, and something in his gaze softened, just a fraction. "I heard you in the hallway. I have good ears, and I realized you're exactly what I need." "I don't understand." "Sit," he said. It wasn't a request. I sank into the chair opposite him, legs jelly. He sat again, hands folded, watching me with an intensity that made me want to hide. "In 24 hours, I fly to Florence," he began. 2 weeks. Business. I need a translator. Native Italian, Tuscan dialect. Someone I can trust." "You have professional translators," I said weakly. "Professionals talk, sell information." His fingers tapped the table once. "I need someone with nothing to lose, and who needs money, urgently." He knew. Somehow he knew about Nonna, the hospice, my broke-ass life. "I'm not—" $20,000, he said quietly. "Cash, up front, plus all expenses, first-class ticket, accommodation. Your grandmother gets the best care money can buy." 20,000. I could pay the hospice for 6 months. Flights to Boston. Treatments insurance wouldn't cover. "Why me?" I whispered. Lucas Raven leaned forward. The light caught his face, and I saw the scar, thin, barely there, from temple to cheekbone, the only imperfection. "Because when you spoke on that phone," he said slowly, "there was so much love in your voice I knew. You would never betray someone who gave you a chance to save her." My heart was pounding so loud I was sure the whole restaurant could hear. 2 weeks? 2 weeks. You stay by my side at every meeting. Translate, listen. Sometimes, just be quiet and watch. "And this is legal?" His lips curved in a ghost of a smile. "Depends on your definition of legal. But you don't need to worry. No one will ever know your name. No one will know you were there." That was a red flag the size of the Empire State Building. Every cell in my body screamed, "Run." But $20,000, Nonna Rosa. "I need to think." "Your grandmother doesn't have time to wait," he said quietly, brutally honest. "She has days, maybe a week. Say yes now and I'll have a medevac flight tomorrow morning. She'll be in Florence 8 hours after takeoff. Best clinic, best doctors." Tears burned my eyes. "You can't just—" "I can, but only if you say yes." He reached across the table, palm open, invitation or trap. I looked at his face. Those gray eyes held no doubt. He knew I'd say yes. He'd known from the start. "Yes," I whispered. His fingers closed around mine, warm, strong. "Buona ragazza," he murmured. Good girl. And I knew I'd just sold my soul to a man whose name I'd learned 10 minutes ago. Shift ended at midnight. Marco told me to go home early. Mr. Raven had asked to release me from duties. I changed in the staff room, hands shaking so badly I could barely zip my jacket. When I stepped out the back door, the rain had stopped. The air smelled of wet asphalt and exhaust. "Emilia." I turned. Lucas stood beside a black SUV, an enormous Escalade with tinted windows. The driver held the door without looking up. "I'll drive you," Lucas said. "I need to get to the Bronx." "I know where you live." Of course he did. I climbed silently into the back seat. He slid in beside me, door shutting with a soft click. Inside smelled of leather and that same dark scent from the private room. The car pulled away. "Tomorrow midnight," Lucas began, not looking at me. "JFK, Atlantic Aviation Private Terminal. Driver picks you up at 11. "I need to pack." "No need." He opened a slim leather briefcase and pulled out a thick white envelope, no markings, set it on my lap. "15,000 here. The rest when we're back." I opened it with trembling fingers, stacks of hundreds, more money than I'd ever seen in my life. I don't know what to say. "Don't say anything." He finally turned to me. In the dim light, his face looked sharper, more dangerous. "A few rules. Listen carefully." I nodded, clutching the envelope to my chest. "First, you tell no one where you are or who you're with, not even your grandmother, especially not your grandmother." "But no one, Amelia." Steel in his voice now. "It's for your safety." "Okay," I whispered. "Second, at every meeting you stay by my side. You translate only what I ask. No additions, no editing. Word for word." "Understood." "Third, if I touch your wrist, like this." He took my hand, slowly traced a finger along the inside of my wrist, sending fire across my skin. "You find a way to interrupt the conversation. Anyway. Faint if you have to." "Fourth," he continued, still holding my hand, "you are never, under any circumstances, left alone with anyone at these meetings. If I leave a room, you leave with me." "You think they'd hurt me?" His jaw tightened. "I think they'd try to use you to get to me, and I won't let that happen." The car stopped. I looked out. My crumbling Bronx building, graffiti on the walls. "We're here," the driver said. Lucas released my hand, but his eyes didn't let go. "Tomorrow, Amelia." I stepped out on wobbly legs, turned back. "Mr. Raven?" "Lucas," he corrected. "Just Lucas." "Lucas, why are you really doing this?" He looked at me for a long time, and I saw something flash in his eyes. Pain? Regret? Gone too fast to be sure. "Because I know what it's like to lose the person you love," he said quietly, "and not get to say goodbye." The door closed. The car pulled away. I stood on the wet sidewalk clutching the envelope, knowing one thing for certain. My life would never be the same. The next 24 hours were a frantic blur. I called the hospice, arranged Nona's transfer. The nurse said a private organization had already paid everything and sent transport papers. I didn't ask questions. Then I called Nona. "Bambina mia." Her voice was so weak it broke my heart. "Come stai?" "I'm okay, Nona. Listen, they're moving you to a new clinic, a really good one. They'll take care of you." "And you? Will you come?" "Soon, very soon, I promise." I hung up before she heard me cry. That night, I packed a tiny bag, jeans, a couple of teas, toothbrush. That was literally all I owned. Hid the rest of the money under the mattress, just in case. If things went south, I needed an escape plan. At 11 sharp, the same black Escalade pulled up. I ran down, tossed my bag in the back. The driver said nothing. We drove through the glittering night city, past skyscrapers, Times Square still crawling with tourists, over bridges, highways, finally the airport lights. But we turned off before the main terminal, through guarded gates, past hangars, stopping at a small building marked Atlantic Aviation, Private Terminal. "We're here, Miss Lorenzi," the driver said. I stepped out. Cold night wind whipped my hair. Inside it was quiet, almost empty. Marble floors, leather chairs, muted lighting. A woman in a perfect suit smiled from the desk. "Miss Lorenzi, welcome. Your flight is ready. This way." I followed her through glass doors onto the tarmac, and there it was, a private jet, snow white with a thin black stripe down the fuselage, stairs down, soft lights glowing inside. At the foot of the stairs stood Lucas, black jeans, dark shirt open at the throat, hair a little messy from the wind, hands in pockets. He looked younger than yesterday, and even more dangerous. Our eyes met. "You came," he said as I approached. "Did I have a choice?" The corners of his mouth lifted. "There's always a choice, Amelia, but I'm glad you chose right." He offered his hand to help me up the stairs. His palm was warm, calloused. I felt every line. Inside was obscene luxury. Cream leather, dark wood, thick carpet, huge seats like sofas, a bar in the corner, all bathed in warm golden light. "Sit anywhere," Lucas said, brushing past me toward the back. "Flight's about 8 hours." I sank into the nearest seat. It was so soft I nearly moaned. A flight attendant, perfect hair, perfect smile, brought me a glass of water. "Miss Lorenzi, just press the button on the armrest if you need anything. We take off in 5. She vanished behind a curtain. Lucas sat across from me, buckling his seatbelt like it was nothing. "Ever flown private before?" he asked. "Are you serious?" He smirked. First real smile I'd seen, and it was devastating. Dimples, white teeth, eyes flashing silver. "Fair point." Engines roared. The plane moved. I gripped the armrests. "First time ever?" His voice softened. "First time on any plane," I admitted. "Never left the country, barely left New York." Lucas went still. "Never?" I shook my head, ashamed. 25 and never flown, spoke volumes about how poor my life had been. But he didn't laugh, didn't judge. He just leaned forward, laid his hand over mine on the armrest. "Then I promised to make it unforgettable." The plane surged, lifted. I watched the lights of New York turn into scattered jewels below. My breath stopped. It was terrifying and beautiful. "Breathe," Lucas said quietly. "I've got you." And strangely, I believed him. Once we leveled off, the flight attendant returned with a tray, tiny canapes, fruit, cheeses, and 2 flutes of something dark and sparkling. "Prosecco," Lucas announced, taking one. "To your first flight." I took the other. We clinked. "To doing something insane," I muttered and drank. Bubbles exploded on my tongue, sweet, cold, perfect. Lucas leaned back, watching me. "Tell me about Nonna Rosa," he said. I blinked. "Why?" "Because I want to know. Because anyone who raised a woman like you deserves to be remembered." A lump rose in my throat. "She's from a tiny village in Tuscany, Montepulciano. Came to America in the 60s, married my grandfather. He died before I was born. My parents died when I was 7. Nonna took me in, alone. No money, no help. Cleaned 3 houses to feed us both. She taught you Italian?" I nodded. "We only spoke Italian at home. She wanted me to remember where we came from, who we are. Ogni volta che parli italiano," I quoted her. "Ricordi chi sei. Every time you speak Italian, you remember who you are." Lucas was quiet a long time. His eyes darkened. "She's a strong woman. The strongest I know. And you're like her," he said softly. "I see it. The same strength, the same pride." I didn't know what to say. Just looked at him, and something in the air shifted, thickened, warmed. He stood, went to the bar, poured himself whiskey, brought me a bottle of mineral water. "You don't drink?" he asked. "I do, sometimes. Just nervous." "No need," he said, sitting again, legs crossed. "I won't do anything you don't want, Amelia. I promise." "How do I know your promises mean anything?" He smiled, but pain flickered in his eyes. "You don't. You'll have to trust me." He sipped his whiskey, stared out at the dark. "My mother was from Florence," he said suddenly. "Jeweler's daughter. Beautiful, smart, proud. She fell for an American businessman, my father. He promised her the world, brought her to New York. Then he started drinking." I held my breath. She stayed 12 years, had me, endured, hoped he'd change. He only got worse. When I was 11, she finally packed a bag, wanted to go home to Florence, take me with her. He stopped, fingers white on the glass. He didn't let her? He crashed the car that same night. Lucas's voice went flat. Dead on arrival. She lasted 2 days. I sat by her bed, holding her hand, listening to the monitors beep slower and slower, until the room went quiet. Tears stung my eyes. "Lucas, don't." He looked at me, and the emptiness in his gaze made me want to hold him. "I told you so you'd understand. When I give a promise, especially to a woman who loves her family the way you love Nona, I don't break it. Ever." I swallowed hard. "Who raised you?" "After my uncle, my father's brother. Good man. Taught me business, hardness, how to survive in a world where everyone wants to use you." Sounds lonely. His mouth twisted in something like a smile. Sounds honest. The flight attendant brought dinner, truffle pasta, salad, tiramisu. I ate without tasting. "You need rest," Lucas said finally. "There's a bedroom in the back. Everything's ready." I glanced at the clock. 3 a.m., New York time. 4 hours in the air. "And you?" "I don't sleep on planes." He pulled out a laptop. "Work. Go. Rest." I stood, legs stiff, walked down the narrow hall, opened the door at the end, and froze. The bedroom was a fairy tale. Huge bed with snow-white linens, heavy curtains on the windows, plush carpet, and on the bed, a dress. I stepped closer, heart hammering. Dark blue silk, simple but elegant. A shoebox beside it my size, and a flat velvet box. I opened it with shaking fingers. Inside, on black velvet, lay an antique bracelet, ivory pearls set in gold, and a note on heavy paper. "For dinner in Tuscany." The bracelet belonged to my mother. She would have wanted the girl who loves her Nona the way I loved her to wear it. LR. Tears rolled down my cheeks before I could stop them. I lay down fully clothed, clutching the box to my chest, and cried from fear, relief, and something I couldn't name. Lucas Raven was dangerous, controlling. He knew too much, decided too much for me, but he saw me, the real me, and that was the scariest part of all. I woke to the plane descending. Dawn bled peach and rose gold through the window. I quickly freshened up in the tiny but luxurious bathroom and returned to the main cabin. Lucas was still working. He looked up when I entered. "Sleep okay?" "Yes, thank you. For everything." He closed the laptop. "We land in 20, then straight to the villa. Nona should already be there." My heart raced. "How is she?" "Stable. Doctor said the flight went well. She slept most of the way." I exhaled in relief. "I don't know how to thank you." "Don't." He stood, stepped close, brushed a strand of hair from my face. His fingers lingered on my cheek. "Just stay close. That's all I need." His touch was so gentle I wanted to lean in, close my eyes and forget everything, but I stepped back. "Lucas, I don't understand. Why are you so kind to me?" He dropped his hand, gave a sad half-smile. "Maybe I'm selfish. Maybe I like seeing gratitude in your eyes." He stepped away. "Or maybe I've just been alone a very long time." The plane banked. Wheels touched down. We were in Florence. A dark blue Mercedes waited at the private terminal. Lucas helped me in, sat beside me. We drove winding Italian roads past vineyards and hills bathed in morning light. The air smelled of grass, flowers, and something ancient. "Tuscany," I whispered, staring out. "Nona always said the air here smells like home." "She was right," Lucas said, watching me instead of the view. "You've never been?" "No, always dreamed. But now you're here." We turned onto a long cypress-lined drive, and there it was. I gasped. It was a painting come to life. 3-story honey-colored stone, terracotta roof, wooden shutters, vines climbing columns, roses everywhere, and behind the endless rolling hills of Chianti, green and misty. "My God," I breathed. "This is my mother's house," Lucas said quietly. "She grew up here. Her family owned it for 300 years. When she died, it came to me. I haven't been back in 15 years. I looked at him. His face closed, sharp. Why now? Because it was time. He opened the car door, stepped out, offered his hand. Welcome to Villa di Luna, Moon Villa. I took his hand, stepped out, and the first thing I heard was, Emilia, Bambina, is that you? I spun. On the terrace, in a wheelchair with an IV in her arm, sat Nonna Rosa, thin, pale, fragile. But her brown eyes, warm, loving, shone exactly the same. I ran, fell to my knees, hugged her gently, terrified of hurting her. Nonna, I'm here. I know, Tesoro. She stroked my hair. I know. You came. I sobbed into her shoulder while she whispered soothing Italian like when I was little. When I finally looked up, Lucas stood a few steps away, watching us, and in his eyes was something so warm, so human. My heart clenched. Signor Raven. Nonna reached for him. Come, let me thank the man who brought my girl back to me. Lucas approached, knelt before her wheelchair, took her tiny hand in his large one. Signora Rosa, he said in perfect Italian, the honor is mine. Emilia told me you were kind. Nonna smiled. She didn't tell me you look at her like she's the sun. Lucas froze. Heat flooded my cheeks. Nonna, I hissed, but the old woman just laughed, weak but real. I'm dying, Bambina. I have no time for delicacy. Lucas stood, his gaze meeting mine, mischief dancing in his eyes. Your Nonna is wise, he said. My Nonna is impossible, I muttered, but couldn't hide my smile. The doctor, a kind-faced young man, came out. Signora Rosa, time for treatment. Nonna sighed. Always treatments. But she let him wheel her inside. She squeezed my hand one last time. Rest, Tesoro. We'll talk later. I stayed on the terrace with Lucas. Silence hung between us, charged. She's incredible, he said finally. Yes, always has been. I turned to him. Thank you for bringing her here, for everything. Stop thanking me, he stepped closer. Too close. I'm not doing it out of altruism. Then why? He looked at me for a long time, then slowly raised his hand, cupped my cheek. Because when you're near, he whispered, the world feels less empty. My breath hitched. Lucas, you need to change, he said suddenly, stepping back, voice businesslike again. Maria will show you your room. Rest. Tonight, dinner. A few business associates. You'll translate. Okay. I was still trying to catch my breath. And Emilia? He turned at the door. Wear the dress and the bracelet. Then he was gone. I stood on the terrace, arms wrapped around myself, staring at the Tuscan hills. What was I doing? Who was I falling for? And why, despite every red flag, every fear, did part of me want to stay here forever? Maria turned out to be a round-faced woman in her 50s, with kind eyes and quick hands. She led me through the villa, marble floors, antique furniture, gilded paintings, up to the 3rd floor, end of the hall. Here, Signorina. She opened the door. I stepped in and stopped dead. The room was bigger than my entire Bronx apartment. Canopy bed, French doors opening to the vineyards, private bath with a marble tub on lion feet. This is too much, I whispered. Maria smiled. Signor Raven insisted. He said you must feel at home. She showed me towels, the shower, the wardrobe, then quietly left. I sank onto the bed. It was like lying on a cloud. On the nightstand, a note. Dinner 20. I'll come for you at 19:45. Don't be late. L. I glanced at the clock. 10 a.m., 10 hours. I took the longest bath of my life. Hot water, lavender scent. I lay there trying not to think about what I was doing, trying not to think about Lucas, his hands, the way he looked at me. It didn't work. Then I slept, deep and dreamless. Woke to a knock. See? I called sleepily. Maria entered with a tray. Lunch, Signorina. Signor said you must eat. I devoured tomato basil pasta that made me want to cry. It was so good. Drank iced lemonade. Then lay back down, stared at the ceiling, listened to the silence. At 7, I started getting ready. The dress fit like it was made for me. Dark blue silk hugging but not screaming. Elegant. Heels. A little makeup, mascara, lipstick, and the bracelet. I fastened it with shaking fingers. The pearls were warm, heavy with history, love, loss. His mother had worn this. Now me. At exactly 19:45, another knock. I opened the door. Lucas stood there in a black suit, no tie, top buttons undone, hair perfect. He smelled of cedar and dark musk. His eyes traveled over me, slowly, from shoes to face. "You," he swallowed. "You're breathtaking." "Thank you." He offered his arm. "Ready?" I took it, our fingers laced. "How bad is this dinner going to be?" "Very," he said, leading me down the hall. 4 men, old-school Italians. They'll speak fast, slang, dialects. Listen carefully. "Okay. And Amelia?" He stopped at the stairs, turned to me. His fingers lightly closed around my wrist where the bracelet sat. "If I touch here, you touch the pearls. Once. It means you heard something important." I nodded. "Got it. And if you feel uncomfortable, if anyone says or does anything wrong, you leave. Immediately. I'll follow." "Are they dangerous?" "They're businessmen," he said evasively. "In Italy, the line between business and other things can blur." "In other words, yes." "I can handle it," I said, trying to sound sure. His mouth curved. "I know. That's why you're here." We descended into the dining room. Long, dark wood table, crystal chandeliers, candles everywhere. French doors open, evening breeze stirring heavy curtains. 4 men already seated, all older, 50s, 60s, expensive suits, gold watches, faces carved by life. Power. Secrets. They rose when we entered. "Luca," one boomed, tall, silver-haired, scar through his eyebrow. "Finalmente." Lucas smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Giovanni, good to see you." Hard, brief embrace. "And who is this bellissima ragazza?" Giovanni turned to me. "My translator," Lucas said, hand possessive on my lower back. "Emilia Lorenzi." "Lorenzi?" Another man, round, thick mustache, repeated. "Toscana?" "Si," I answered. "My grandmother is from Montepulciano." "Ah, una di noi." His face lit up. "One of us." They all started talking at once, fast Italian, overlapping. Lucas seated me beside him. Dinner began. Courses came. Antipasti, mushroom risotto, osso buco, wine, more wine. The men laughed, drank, talked. I listened. At first harmless, weather, grape harvest, soccer. Then the youngest-looking one, sharp face, cold eyes, leaned toward Lucas. "Allora, Luca, parliamo di affari." Lucas nodded. "Certo." The Genoa contract, the man switched to rapid, hard Italian. "Ferreo wants a bigger cut, says you're taking too much." I translated quietly into Lucas's ear. He listened, face blank. "Tell him Ferreo gets exactly what he deserves. No more, no less." I translated. The man smirked. "Ferreo won't agree. He thinks you're going around him, using unofficial channels." Lucas sipped his wine. Set the glass down slowly. "Ferreo can think whatever he likes. Doesn't make it true." Giovanni jumped in, voice softer. "Luca, be reasonable. Ferreo was an old friend of your family. He just wants fairness." "Fairness," Lucas repeated, steel in the word. "Or greed." Tension thickened. The conversation turned harsh, fast. Containers, routes, percentages, words I didn't know. But the gist was clear. This Ferreo guy was trying to muscle in on Lucas's business. Then the mustached man, Marco, said something that turned my blood to ice. "What if Ferreo decides to persuade you another way?" Lucas froze. His hand slid across the table, fingers brushing my wrist. "Signal." I touched the pearls once. Lucas saw, barely nodded. "Marco," he said, deadly quiet, "if you're suggesting what I think, this meeting is over. Now." "I'm suggesting nothing," Marco raised his hands. "Just speaking of possibilities. Ferreo is determined. "And so am I," Lucas stood. "Gentlemen, dessert will be served on the terrace. Amelia, come." He offered his hand. I took it, rose. We stepped onto the terrace. Night air cool, scented with jasmine and roses. Lucas went to the railing, gripped it until his knuckles went white. "What did they say?" I asked softly. "About Ferreo." A veiled threat, his voice calm but furious underneath, crystal clear. He'd hurt you?" Lucas turned, stepped close, hands on my shoulders. "Not me," he said. "He'd aim for who's close to me, weak spots." Understanding crashed over me. "You mean me?" His jaw clenched. "Possibly." "Then maybe I should leave." I started, but he cut me off. "No." "Lucas, if I'm putting you in danger." "You're not." He pulled me closer, forehead to mine. "They are, if they think they can use you against me." My heart hammered. "I don't want to be the reason." "Amelia," his hands cupped my face. "Listen, I won't let anyone hurt you. Anyone. Even if it means—" He stopped. "Means what?" I whispered. His thumbs stroked my cheeks. "Even if it means war." Footsteps behind us. We sprang apart like guilty teenagers. Giovanni stepped onto the terrace, grappa in hand. "Luca, mi dispiace. Marco crossed a line. I'll speak to him." Lucas nodded, mask back on. "Good, but tell Ferreo, if he wants war, he'll get it." Giovanni sighed. "I hoped we could keep this civilized." "So did I." Lucas took my hand, laced our fingers. "Looks like some people only understand force." They stared at each other a long moment. Then Giovanni nodded. "Tomorrow I arrange a meeting. Just you and Ferreo. No witnesses." "No," Lucas said. "One witness. Amelia comes." I gasped. "Lucas, I don't think—" "She comes," he repeated, eyes locked on Giovanni. "That's my condition." Giovanni studied me, long, assessing. "Va bene, tomorrow noon. Old Medici Villa outside the city. You know it?" "I know it." Giovanni turned and left. I yanked my hand free. "Are you insane? I can't go to a meeting with who?" Lucas turned to me. "A man who'll try to blackmail me, intimidate me? That's exactly why you have to be there." "I don't understand." "Ferreo is old school," Lucas explained. "To him, a woman is weakness, vulnerability. If I bring you, he'll think you're my soft spot. He'll try to use it. And when he does—" A predator's smile curved his lips. "I'll have him." "You're using me as bait." My throat tightened. "I'm using his perception of you as bait," he corrected. "No one will lay a finger on you. I'll be there every second." "And if something goes wrong?" He stepped so close I felt his heat. "Nothing will go wrong," he whispered. "I promise. I die before I let anyone hurt you." The fire in his eyes, the absolute certainty I believed him. God help me, I believed him. "Okay," I breathed. "I'll go." Relief flooded his face. He lifted my hand, kissed my knuckles, slow, reverent. "Grazie, tesoro mio." My heart stuttered at my treasure. "Lucas, what are we doing?" He looked at me, desire and tenderness and something dark and possessive in his gaze. "I don't know," he admitted, "but I can't stop." Then he let go and walked back inside, leaving me trembling under the Tuscan stars. The rest of the evening blurred. The men left around midnight. I spent time with Nonna. She was tired but happy, held my hand, told stories of her youth in these same hills. "This land remembers, Bambina," she whispered. "Remembers love, remembers betrayal. Be careful." "With what, Nonna?" She looked at me with those wise eyes. "With the man who looks at you like you're his last sunrise." I didn't ask who she meant. I knew. Back in my room, another note on the bed. "Tomorrow wear something simple. We're going to a meeting, not a gala. And Amelia, thank you for tonight. You were perfect. L." I lay awake, thoughts spinning. What was I doing? Who was Lucas Raven really? And why, despite every warning, every danger, Did I feel more alive than ever? Morning came too fast. I dressed simple, black jeans, white shirt, flats, hair in a braid, no makeup, no jewelry. Lucas waited by a different car, plain dark sedan, nothing flashy. Good, he nodded, taking in my outfit. We don't want attention. Where are we going? You'll see. We drove an hour on winding mountain roads. Lucas silent, tense. One hand on the wheel, the other clenched on his thigh. You're nervous, I said. I'm cautious, he corrected. Not the same thing. Tell me about Ferreo. Who is he? Long silence, then a sigh. Victor Ferreo Salieri. Full name. He was my father's partner 30 years ago. When my mother died and my father disappeared, Victor tried to take everything. The business, the villa, all of it. But he didn't. My uncle stopped him. Courts, other methods. Victor backed off, but he never forgot, never forgave. And now he's back. Yes, old but still dangerous, and he thinks I owe him. Owe him? For what? Lucas gave a bitter smile. For surviving. We pulled up to an ancient villa near ruins, ivy-covered walls, broken windows, but 2 black luxury cars sat at the entrance. They're here, Lucas muttered. He turned to me. Listen carefully. Translate everything he says. Miss nothing. And if I tell you to run, you run. Don't look back. Fear clawed my throat. Lucas, promise me. I promise. He nodded, got out. I followed. We entered. Inside was cold, damp, smelled of time. Crumbling walls, cracked floors. In the center of a grand hall, a table, and behind it, one man, Victor Salieri, old 70 or more, silver hair swept back, face etched deep, but eyes young, cold, cruel. Luca, he said, voice like aged wine. My boy, finally. I was never your boy, Victor. Lucas stopped several feet away. Never. Victor smiled. His gaze slid to me. And who is this lovely girl? Your translator? Yes. How sweet. He leaned back. Your mother loved pearls, too. My hand instinctively went to my bare wrist. I hadn't worn the bracelet today. How did he know? Leave her out of this, Lucas growled. Talk to me. Victor laughed. So protective. She matters. Good to know. He leaned forward, hands folded. Let's talk business, Luca. You know what I want. The Genoa contract. Not just that. Half your Italian operations, restaurants, imports, everything. You're insane. Or I'm simply taking what's rightfully mine. Victor's voice hardened. Your father promised me 50-50. Then he died, and your uncle cheated me. My uncle saved the business you tried to destroy. Your uncle stole my legacy. They glared like 2 predators circling. I'm giving you nothing, Lucas said quietly. Not 1%, not €1. Victor smiled coldly. Then I'm afraid I have no choice. He snapped his fingers. 2 large men stepped from the shadows, muscled, blank-eyed. Lucas tensed. You're threatening me? Here? I'm offering a choice, Victor rose. Sign the papers, or... He looked at me. My blood froze. Or I find other ways to convince you. Lucas stepped in front of me, shielding. Touch her, and you're dead. Big words for a man alone against 3. He's not alone. Voice from the entrance. I whipped around. Giovanni stood in the doorway, 3 more men behind him, all armed. Victor paled. Giovanni, we agreed to an honest meeting. Giovanni stepped inside. Not an ambush. You broke the rules, Victor. This is none of your business. It becomes my business when you threaten Luca, Giovanni said, and especially when you threaten an innocent girl. We have a code, Victor. You forgot. Victor stared, face twisted with rage and fear. This isn't over, he hissed. You'll hear from me, Luca. I'll be waiting, Lucas said icily. Victor turned and left, his men trailing. Engines roared, tires screeched on gravel. Silence. Giovanni turned to Lucas. You owe me, ragazzo. I know. Name your price. No price, just remember who stood with you. He clapped Lucas's shoulder and left. We were alone in the ruined villa. I started shaking. Adrenaline, terror, relief, all at once. Lucas spun, grabbed my shoulders. Are you okay? Did he touch you? Say anything else? No, I'm okay. But the shaking worsened. My knees buckled. He caught me, crushed me to his chest. I buried my face in his shirt, felt his heart racing as fast as mine. Sorry, he whispered into my hair. Sorry, I didn't think he'd go that far. Sorry. I clung to him. You said nothing would go wrong. I know, I was wrong. His lips brushed my temple. But I wouldn't have let him hurt you. Never. We stood like that far too long. Then I lifted my head, our faces inches apart. Lucas, don't, he whispered. Don't say it. What? That you want to leave. Because I won't let you. Not now. His eyes blazed, dark, desperate. I wasn't going to say that. My voice shook. I was going to say, thank you for protecting me. Something shifted in his gaze. Emilia. He bent slowly, giving me time to pull away. I didn't. His lips met mine, soft, careful. A question. I answered, rising on tiptoes, arms around his neck. The kiss deepened, became hungry, desperate. His hand slid down my back, pulling me flush against him. I felt every hard line of his body, every breath. When we finally broke apart, we were both gasping. That was a mistake? His voice was rough. No. I touched his lips. Inevitable. He caught my hand, kissed my palm. I'm not a good man, Emilia. I have enemies, dark secrets. I'm dragging you into a world you can't easily leave. I know. And you stay anyway? I looked into those stormy gray eyes. I stay. He pulled me in again, held me so tight I could barely breathe. Then I'll protect you, he whispered, whatever it takes. And I knew he meant it. We returned to the villa in silence. Lucas drove one-handed, the other resting possessively on my knee. I didn't move it. Something had shifted. A line crossed. No going back. When we walked in, Maria met us looking worried. Signor Raven, police. They're waiting in the library. Lucas froze. Police? What police? Guardia di Finanza. Financial police. They say it's urgent. He turned to me. Go upstairs. Now. Lucas, what's happening? Just do what I say, his voice sharp, and lock the door. Fear gripped me, but I ran upstairs. In my room, I pressed my ear to the door, straining to hear. Male voices, loud, accusatory, then footsteps, heavy boots on marble. I jumped back. Someone tried my door. Handle rattled. Signorina Lorenzi? Apra la porta. I stayed silent, hand over my mouth. We know you're in there. Open or we break it down. I backed toward the window. 3 stories, too high. The door shuddered under a kick. Then Lucas's furious voice. Don't you dare touch her! Sound of struggle. Something crashed. The door flew open. 2 uniformed men rushed in. One grabbed my arm. Signorina, you have to come with us. Let me go. I didn't do anything. We have a search warrant. You're in the home of a suspect in financial fraud. They dragged me out. I fought, screamed. In the hall, Lucas was held by 2 more officers, lips split, bruise blooming on his cheek, our eyes locked. Emilia, he rasped. Don't tell them anything, not one word. You hear me? Nothing. Signor Raven, I suggest you shut up. An officer twisted his arm higher. Lucas didn't flinch, kept staring at me. Giovanni, he growled. Call Giovanni. He'll know what to do. They hauled me down the stairs, shoved me outside where 3 police cars flashed blue lights. Where are you taking me? I demanded. I'm an American citizen. You can't... We can detain witnesses, Signorina. The officer opened the back door. Get in. I looked back. They were bringing Lucas out in handcuffs. Our eyes met again. And for the first time since I'd met him, Lucas Raven looked helpless. They took me to a station in central Florence, put me in a windowless room, table, 2 chairs, harsh lamp in my face. I sat for hours. No one came. Finally, the door opened. A man in an expensive suit entered, folder under his arm, too smooth. He sat, opened the folder. "Miss Lorenzi, Detective Marconi, a few questions." "I want a lawyer." "You're not under arrest. You're a witness. You don't need one." "Then I can leave?" He smiled coldly. "Technically, yes, but you really should talk to me, for your own good." I crossed my arms. "What do you want?" "About Lucas Raven, what you do for him, what you've seen." "I'm his translator, that's all." "Translator?" He leaned back. "Who lives in his villa, wears his dead mother's bracelet, attends closed business meetings?" Ice in my veins. "I don't know what you're talking about." "You were at a meeting this morning, old Medici villa, with Victor Salieri. What was discussed?" "It was business, contracts, nothing illegal." Marconi leaned in. "Miss Lorenzi, Lucas Raven is suspected of money laundering, smuggling, ties to organized crime. If you helped him, even unknowingly, you could be an accessory." Panic surged. I didn't know. I just translated." "What exactly did you translate?" He pulled out a pen. "Specific conversations?" I remembered Lucas's words. "Don't tell them anything." "I don't remember." "Don't remember?" He smirked. "It was this morning." Lots of technical terms. I'm not sure I understood everything correctly. He stared a long time, then snapped the folder shut. "You're protecting a man who's using you, Miss Lorenzi, who dragged you into his dirty world. Don't you see?" "I see you trying to make me betray someone who helped my dying grandmother," I snapped, "who gave me a chance to say goodbye when no one else did." "Out of the goodness of his heart?" Marconi laughed. "Or because he needed leverage?" "Think, Signorina. He knew about your grandmother, knew you were desperate for money. He bought your loyalty." The words hit like a slap, because part of me had wondered the same thing. The door burst open. Another man, older, rumpled suit, entered, whispered in Marconi's ear. Marconi went pale, stood. "We'll continue this later." They left. I sat shaking, tears burning. What if the detective was right? What if it was all manipulation? No, I'd seen his eyes when he talked about his mother, felt the truth when he held me. It couldn't be fake. Could it? The door opened again. "Giovanni." "Signorina Lorenzi." He offered his hand. "Come, you're free." I stared. "What?" "All charges dropped. Misunderstanding. I'll drive you back." I stood on shaky legs, followed him out. In the corridor, Marconi watched with cold fury. Giovanni put me in his car. We drove in silence. "Lucas?" I finally asked. "Did they release him too?" Giovanni nodded. "For now. Victor filed a complaint, claimed Lucas threatened him. Police had to respond, but we have connections. It's handled." "Connections," I echoed numbly. "You don't understand the world you're in now, Signorina. Nothing here is black and white. Lots of gray." "Too much gray," I whispered. We reached the villa. Police cars gone. Quiet. Lucas stood at the entrance, watched me get out. I walked to him, slowly, each step a question. When I was close enough, he reached for me. "Emilia." I stepped back. "Don't." Pain flashed across his face. "What are you talking about?" "The detective said, he said you used me, that my grandmother was leverage, that this was all manipulation." "And you believed him?" "I don't know," I shouted. "I don't know what to believe. You knew everything about me from the start. You studied me. You found my weaknesses and used them to help you or to control me." Tears streamed down my face. "Tell me the truth, Lucas. Why am I really here?" He stared a long time, then stepped so close I felt his breath. "You're here," he said slowly, every word deliberate. "Because the moment I saw you in that restaurant, heard you speak Italian, heard you cry for your grandmother, I saw something real, something pure in a world full of lies. That's not an answer. Yes, I used your situation to get you to say yes, he admitted harshly. Yes, I needed a translator I could trust. But Amelia, he cupped my face. The second you got in my car, it stopped being about business. It became about you, about us. How can I know that's true? Because I don't kiss people I use, his voice cracked. I don't give them my mother's bracelet. I don't risk everything I've built to protect them from Victor. I don't... He stopped, closed his eyes. Don't what? I whispered. I don't fall in love, he breathed. Ever. Until you. The world stopped. What? He opened his eyes, fire in them. I'm in love with you, Amelia. Madly, desperately, wrongly. I've known you 3 days and it feels like a lifetime. And if that scares you, if you want to leave, I'll let you go. I'll give you money, a ticket, anything. But don't say this was manipulation, because what I feel, he pressed my hand to his chest, heart pounding, is the realest thing I've ever had. I looked at him, split lip, bruised cheek, eyes full of desperation and hope, and I knew he was telling the truth. Maybe it started as calculation, but somewhere between that first flight and the kiss in the ruins, it became something bigger, for both of us. I don't want to leave, I whispered. Relief crashed over his face. Then stay, please. I pulled him down and kissed him, careful of his lip but passionate because I couldn't not. When we broke apart, he held me so tight I could barely breathe. I'm never letting you go, he whispered into my hair. Never. And I believed him. The next days passed in strange peace. Police didn't return. Victor vanished. Giovanni said he'd left the country. I spent my days with Nonna. She weakened slowly but steadily. Doctors did everything, but we both knew time was running out. Lucas was always there, brought Nonna flowers, read to her in Italian, held my hand when I cried. He's a good man, Nonna whispered one evening when we were alone, with many scars, but good. I know, Nonna. You love him. It wasn't a question. I nodded, tears falling. How did it happen so fast? Nonna smiled, weak but warm. Love doesn't count days, Bambina. It just is or isn't. And you two... She touched my heart. You have it. I'm scared. Of course you are. Love is scary, especially when you love someone who could break your heart. She squeezed my frail fingers. But you know what's scarier? Never loving at all. That night I couldn't sleep. Lay staring at the ceiling, thinking of her words. Soft knock. Come in. Door opened. Lucas stepped in, dark jeans, t-shirt, barefoot, hair tousled. You're awake, he said. So are you. He closed the door, sat on the edge of the bed. I just needed to make sure you were okay. I sat up, knees to chest. Nonna said I love you. He stilled. What did you say? Nothing. She fell asleep. He gave a sad half laugh. Convenient. Lucas. I touched his arm. This is crazy. We've known each other less than a week. I should think it's just adrenaline. Stockholm syndrome. Something. But you don't. No, I admitted. I think I fell for you the moment you said my name with a Tuscan accent. His eyes darkened. Amelia. I know you have secrets. Dark corners you don't want me in. I know your life is dangerous. I know staying with you means risk. I cupped his face. But I don't want safety. I want you. He kissed me, desperate, hungry, hands in my hair. I pulled him closer, needing every inch. We fell back onto the bed, lips never parting. His weight pinned me, and I moaned into his mouth. Wait, he gasped, pulling back. Wait, if we keep going, I won't be able to stop. Then don't. Amelia, I'm serious. If we do this, you're mine, forever. I don't share, ever. Good, I whispered. I don't want you to. Something feral flashed in his eyes. Say it again. I'm yours. He growled, actually growled, and kissed me again. That night was Not for public consumption. Let's just say he was tender and fierce, careful and demanding all at once. And when we lay tangled afterward, his hand on my stomach, my head on his chest, I was home. For the first time in years. "I love you," he whispered into the dark. "I love you too." And the stars outside shone brighter than ever. 2 weeks passed. Nonna held on but faded day by day. One morning, the doctor called us both to her room. "It could be today," he said quietly, "or tomorrow. Stay with her." We sat by her bed, I on one side, Lucas on the other, holding her hands. She opened her eyes, smiled at us both. "Miei bambini," she whispered. "My children, you look so beautiful together." "Nonna, don't talk like that," I stroked her hand. "You'll get better." "Tesoro," she shook her head faintly. "No lies. I'm old. I'm tired. I'm ready." Tears choked me. "I'm not ready to let you go." "I know, but you must." She turned to Lucas. "You'll take care of her?" "With my life," he said hoarsely. "Good." Nonna closed her eyes. "Then I can go in peace." We sat another hour, listened to her breathing grow shallower, shallower. Then silence. The monitor flatlined. Nonna Rosa was gone. I sobbed so hard I couldn't breathe. Lucas held me, rocked me, whispered Italian lullabies. The doctor turned off the machines, left us alone. "She waited," I whispered through tears, "waited to see me happy. And you were, because of her." I looked at him through blurred eyes. "Because of you." He kissed my forehead. "We'll bury her here, in Montepulciano, where she was born." I nodded, unable to speak. The funeral was a week later. Small church in the hills. Few people. Maria, doctors, Giovanni and his wife, some old village women who remembered Nonna as a girl. I stood by the grave, clutching Lucas's hand, watching the coffin lower. "Arrivederci, Nonna," I whispered. "Ti amo." Afterward, everyone left. We stayed. Lucas was quiet a long time, then pulled a small box from his pocket. "What is it?" I asked. He opened it. An antique ring, emerald center, tiny diamonds around it. "My grandmother's ring," he said softly. "My mother's mother. The only thing I have left from that side of the family." I stared, breathless. Lucas dropped to one knee, right there at the cemetery, on Tuscan soil. "Emilia Lorenzi," he began, voice trembling. "I know this is fast, insane. I know I should wait, court you properly. But life is too short. Your Nonna taught me that." Tears spilled again. "I can't promise an easy life, can't promise no danger, no darkness. But I promise to love you every day, protect you, cherish you." He took my hand. "Stay with me, forever. Marry me." I looked at him. This beautiful, dangerous, broken, and strong man who had become my entire world in 3 weeks. "Yes," I whispered. 1,000 times yes. He slid the ring on. Perfect fit, like it had waited for me all its life. Then he stood, pulled me close, and kissed me under the Tuscan sun beside the grave of the only person who ever truly knew me. And I knew Nonna was watching from above and smiling. Epilogue 2 years later, snow fell softly on the mountains around our Swiss chalet, the one Lucas bought a month after our wedding. A safe place, far from Victor, police, the world. I stood at the window watching snowflakes dance in the lamplight, hand instinctively on my stomach, still flat, but soon... "What are you thinking?" Lucas wrapped arms around me from behind, chin on my shoulder. How everything changed. For the better? I turned in his arms. For the perfect. He smiled, real, warm, the kind I saw more and more lately. After the wedding, much had happened. Victor disappeared. Giovanni hinted some problems were resolved permanently. I didn't ask details. Lucas slowly exited the gray areas, sold dubious contracts, focused on restaurants, legal wine imports, and I founded the Nonna Rosa Fund, helping Italian immigrants in America, scholarships for Italian language students, hospice support. Letter came today, Lucas said, pulling an envelope from his pocket. From the fund. I opened it. Photo. Young girl in cap and gown holding a diploma. Letter. Dear Mrs. Raven, thank you for the scholarship. Because of your grandmother's fund, I finished university. Now I teach Italian in New York, helping immigrant children stay connected to their roots, just like your nonna did for you. Thank you for giving others the same chance. Tears welled. She'd be so proud of you, Lucas said quietly. Of us, I corrected. He kissed my temple. I have news. Good news. Depends. He smirked. Giovanni offered me a seat on the Genoa Trade Alliance Board. Fully legal, prestigious, but it means frequent Italy trips. I thought, nodded. I'll go with you. I want our baby to know Italy, the language, the culture, everything Nonna gave me. Lucas froze. Our what? I smiled through tears. I'm pregnant. 8 weeks. The look on his face, shock, joy, awe. He dropped to his knees, pressed his face to my stomach. Bambino mio, he whispered. Mio figlio. I ran fingers through his hair, laughing and crying. Or figlia, I teased. Could be a girl. He looked up, tears on his cheeks. Lucas Raven, who I'd never seen cry, crying from happiness. A girl, he repeated in wonder. Like you, with your eyes, your kindness. And your stubbornness, I laughed. He stood, lifted me gently like I was made of glass. I'll be the best father, he vowed. Not like mine. I'll love our child. Protect them. Never raise a hand. Never make them afraid. I know. I pressed to his chest, listening to his heartbeat. You already are the best man your father never was. You prove it every day these 2 years. We stood wrapped together while snow fell outside. What will we name her? He asked. Or him, I thought. Smiled. If a girl, Rosa. For Nonna. His lips trembled. She would have loved that. And if a boy, I touched his cheek. Matteo, like your mother wanted to name a second son if she'd had one. He stilled, looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time. How did you know? Maria found your mother's old diary in the library. She wrote about dreams, a family she wanted, a second child she never had. Fresh tears. He buried his face in my hair. How did I live without you? He rasped. How did I breathe before I met you? I don't know, I admitted, but we never have to remember. Months passed. My belly grew. Lucas was obsessed, counted vitamins, insisted on the best doctors, read every pregnancy book he could find. You're unbearable, I laughed when he forbade me stares for the 3rd time that night. I'm careful, he countered, scooping me up. Different things. We returned to Tuscany for spring. The villa burst with life, Maria preparing for the baby like royalty was coming. Nursery filled with so much love it made me cry. Giovanni visited often, bringing gifts, tiny clothes, antique cradle passed down in his family. For the future boss, he joked, winking at Lucas. My child will not be a boss, Lucas said firmly. They'll have a normal life. Giovanni just laughed. One evening I sat on the terrace, the same one where I first saw Nonna after the flight. Sunset painted the hills gold and pink. Lucas joined me with 2 glasses, non-alcoholic cocktail for me, wine for him. He sat, hand on my huge belly. Kicking? He asked tenderly. Constantly. Your daughter is very active. Or son. No, I smiled. Mother's intuition. Girl. And I was right. Rosa Maria Raven was born on a warm July evening in Florence's best clinic. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. My carbon copy, dark hair, brown eyes, but Lucas's chin. Stubborn. When the nurse placed her on my chest, the world stopped. Lucas sat beside me, holding my hand, staring at our daughter like she was the universe's greatest treasure. She's perfect, he whispered. Like us, I answered. He kissed me, gentle. Reverent. Grazie, he breathed, for everything, for giving me a family, for teaching me how to love. You taught me to trust, I said. We're even. Little Rosa yawned, scrunching her tiny nose. We both laughed through tears. Another year and a half. Rosa grew fast, curious, loud, full of life, already saying first words in 2 languages, Papa, Mama, Aqua, Fiore. Lucas was an incredible father, patient, loving, present, up with her at dawn, feeding, singing the Italian lullabies his mother taught him. And I was happy, completely, utterly happy. The Nonna Rosa Fund expanded, 3 centers in the U.S., 2 in Italy, helping thousands. Lucas was fully clean, restaurants thriving, reputation spotless. Victor Salieri, found dead in his Sicilian villa, official cause, heart attack, unofficially. Giovanni just shrugged when I asked. Some people live too long, he said cryptically. I didn't dig. Now we stand on the same terrace where it all began. Rosa asleep in her stroller, Lucas behind me, arms around my waist, chin on my shoulder. What are you thinking? He asks. How it started, I say, watching the sunset. 1 phone call, 1 night in a restaurant. 1 girl who spoke Italian and stopped my heart, he adds quietly. I turn in his arms. You know what's craziest? What? If someone had told me that rainy night I'd marry the stranger I just met, have his baby, live in a Tuscan villa, and run a charity, I laugh. I'd have said they were insane. And yet, he kisses my nose. Here we are. Here we are, I echo. Rosa stirs, starts fussing. Lucas immediately bends, lifts her. Buongiorno, principessa mia, he coos. Sleep well? She grabs his nose with tiny fingers. He laughs, that open, joyful laugh I love, free and light. I watch them, my husband and daughter, and know this is my family. The one I lost at 7, the one I dreamed of my whole life. Nonna was right. Love doesn't count days. It just arrives, like a storm, and changes everything. Lucas offers me his hand. Come inside. Maria made your favorite pasta. I take it, lace our fingers. Let's go. We walk into the house through ancient doors, over marble floors, under crystal chandeliers, our home, our world. And as the sun sets over the Tuscan hills in gold and purple, I know one thing. It all began with 1 phone call in Italian. 1 man who decided 2 weeks wasn't enough. 1 kiss under the stars, and turned into a lifetime. A love worth every risk, every fear, every crazy choice. Because sometimes the best stories don't start with a plan. They start the moment you say yes to a gray-eyed stranger whose voice sounds like home. And I would say yes again, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, every single time.